Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show, and of course, time for another Premier League review show. Thank you for being patient there. I was just eating my Chinese, and also we were all discussing who the hell Alf Garnett was. So, Harmony, if you want to let us know in the chat if Alf Garnett is from the TV show or if it's Cockney rhyming slang for Barnett, Alf Garnett, Barnett.
Put a poll up, see what they say.
Yeah, put a poll up, yeah. What is Alf Garnett? But no, great weekend of football. Not least the fact that Fred's now got more goals in the Premier League than Harry Kane. So that's good from that. Obviously, Kouyaté getting the winner, Corey, for West Ham.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You should.
For anyone who doesn't know, there's a bit of an inside joke. So I asked someone to do my thumbnails for me, and I asked him to create my thumbnail, and I posted it out, and then I got a message off Corey saying, "Joe, that's Kouyaté, not Masuaku." So I was like, "Is it?" So I had to go back to my guy and said, "Swap it, please." And he was like, "No, it's definitely Masuaku." I'm like, "It isn't."
And then you asked me, and then I said, "Do you want me to confirm it?" I sent you 2 pictures of him, and you said, "Oh, I don't know. I really don't know." I was like,
I don't know.
No. But
he scored a worldie on the weekend,
Yeah.
and we don't know who he is. It's a shameful
Does he
behaviour.
play for West Ham? Does he, Kouyaté? He plays for Palace.
Palace, yeah, exactly. I mean, he didn't have the Palace strip on. Basically, this guy searched renders, and someone's put Masuaku, Kouyaté as Masuaku, so he's just gone boom. Yeah. And I was like, no, it is. But then I got stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I thought the giveaway would be that the shirt's about 6 years old as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Don't worry, we moved.
My apologies, right? My apologies. Henry, then, how are you, mate? You must be bouncing now that the Ragnarok era is in full swing.
Yeah, it was good fun. Good game.
Yeah,
can't complain. Atmosphere was the best I've seen it in a while, to be fair. Nothing toxic at all, which is nice. And just really good football. Really exciting football. And, you know, with the way that we played, having had a day's training, I mean, the rest of the top 6 should be slightly concerned, if I'm being honest.
Here we go.
You beaten Palace 1-0. You beat Palace 1-0, mate. So did we.
I'm
A little bit of pressing, and look what it's done to him. Honestly.
All I'm saying is this is the first time I've seen like structure and the players doing what they're told, and the players taking on board information, not just before the game, but in game as well. And you've got he's bringing on the likes of Elanga, who are he looked fantastic in the game. So looking at it, you're thinking we've still got Varane and Pogba to come back into this side as well. And Cavani as well. So, we're a strong side, and we've got a good manager who's now, by the looks of it, bringing in a couple of coaching staff at least.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So, I didn't say that off as a bit of a wind up. I genuinely mean that we've actually got a good side with a good manager who will use the players to their strengths. And Fred was phenomenal. He really was.
Mm-hmm.
And he, we said, I've said before, under Ranić, his pressing could be really good, and he was busy throughout the whole game. And
do you think it could be curtains for Aaron Wan biscuits? Sorry, I've always called him that.
No, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. I tweeted out a few months ago that he was just legs and vibes. And it's not entirely incorrect that, and Tellez and Delot. I mean, Luke Shaw should be worried as well. If I'm honest, Tellez was phenomenal, and Delot was as well, and both quite defensively solid as well, which is something we haven't seen since they've come to the club. So if I were those two, there's no favourites now. It's a new manager. Yeah. There's no favourites. He's not going to pick players based on their previous with the club. Rashford was horrific in the game, and he might start on Wednesday, but I don't expect him to start the next big game because he was terrible. So there'll be no favourites. It's a clean slate for a lot of these players, and Delot is one of the biggest in the sense that he hasn't had the chance really since he's been at the club because of injuries and changing manager and whatever. But now he's got the chance, and he was one of our best players on the pitch. So I'm delighted.
Corey being a top sixer, I would say, this season, mate. Are you concerned about Man United?
Of course, yeah. I took the mick out of Henry, but I shouldn't really. They did look a lot better actually against Crystal Palace. It's worrying, and I think the level of quality that they can step up in when they've got a system and a structure behind them. I think it's quite ironic actually that Ollie kind of lived and died by McFred, and yet when Rangnick's used them in a certain way, and they've got that structure and they've got the 2-2-2 in front of them, that they look a lot better. And I'm not saying, Fred and McTominay are spectacularly technical players, and I'm sure there are better players, and Van der Beek, I'm sure, will eventually be introduced. But it just goes to show you when you have got a manager that does know what he's doing. And what did he have? Someone was saying he had one training session, and he's enabled them to press in that manner against the Crystal Palace side that are used to teams pressing against them. They brought Mark Gahey in for that reason to play out for him. So, yeah, really impressive, actually, for Manchester United, if I'm honest. And Richarlison's just scored, and they've gone 1-0 up against Arsenal. So, there you are. Not doing too
well,
bad.
That is my shot on target. That's one shot on target. So I need one for Lacazette and one for Saka. So keep me updated with that, mate.
Oh, that's beautiful, actually. Sorry, that's going to give us a little bit more light in the top 4 race. So that'll keep us alive for a little bit longer.
Nice. I do believe the Spurs, am I right in saying you've got a game in hand, they can usurp you if they win. Is that right, Matt?
That is right. The game against Burnley. That'll probably be end of January, looking at our calendar at the moment. But God, it's always beautiful seeing Arsenal lose, isn't it?
Can you imagine what they're going to be like? I mean, after that Norwich game, there was just absolute mania amongst the Spurs fan base that they'd beaten a team 3-0, and Oliver Skipp's the greatest midfielder that's ever graced the English game. Can you imagine when they go above us? It will just be unbelievable. Pandemonium, like a trophy in itself.
As long as you're not playing Muro, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Why do I come to these shows? I mean, Richarlison's goal has just been disallowed.
Matt, how was Ben Bastoni this weekend?
Now, I just want to clarify something here. Because when I tried to clarify this on Friday, I wasn't allowed to actually get my point across. I never compared Davis to Alessandro Bastoni. I would sell Ben Davis to Stevenage right now if I meant we got Bastoni. But I was explaining the Conte-isms that we're starting to see in the team, and Davis is playing the role that Bastoni played at Inter Milan last season, and that's just fact. So if you don't like it, Oscar, nothing I can do about it.
Get in the bin, Oscar. Get in the bin. Matt, are you concerned about top 4? Obviously, Manchester United now. You don't think you're getting top 4 anyway, do you?
Yeah, regardless. No. I mean, it's just another team that are ahead of us in the race. I still don't think we're going to get top 4. There's potentially a bit of trouble on the horizon for Tottenham short term, but we're not in the top 4 conversation for me. There's way too much recruitment that we need to put in. I kind of describe it in a similar way. I know United have a better squad than us, but I wouldn't really take them as seriously, I think, as we're taking them for top 4 now until they're still playing this way under Rangnick in 4, 5, 6 weeks' time, because you get that new manager bounce. It's United actually having some tactics going out in the football pitch. They're going to invest in them a lot in the earlier weeks. A few months down the line, I think we get more of a vision of how they're going to play. And then you're looking at Tottenham with our new manager bounce. It's a couple of wins, but it's average to decent performances, and that's going to settle itself down. And we're starting to pick up injuries as well. I'm not worried about United because I don't think we're in the top 4 race to start with.
That's fair. I don't see it either, to be fair. But Oscar, do you think now then the top 4's, now that Rangnick has come in, I wonder if will he do any business? I don't know. Henry will probably give us a little bit more on that. But do you think that the top 4's sort of like at the start of the season when Ollie made all these signings, we all said, right, the top 4's locked in. Obviously, Ollie's just fell off a cliff and it was abysmal and it was so funny to watch for us non-Man United fans. But now, they're not too far away. They were never, it's not an unassailable gap or anything like that. So
they're always in it. They're always in that hunt for top 4, even under Solskjaer, really. But it's just very open, isn't it, really? I think obviously Arsenal, for me, looked like the front runners a couple of weeks ago, up until that Liverpool game. And I think ever since that Liverpool game, I think they've won 1 since then. Not been particularly great in the other ones. It's very, very open.
What do you say?
What's that?
Arsenal scored. Odegaard scored.
No.
Still, it's open. It is very, very open. I think if you're going off the managers kind of thing, I think Conte is the best of those managers. It just depends what Tottenham do in the January window. I do think January could be key for Tottenham, bringing in one or two new faces in that lot. But yeah, I think obviously squad-wise, you've got to fancy Man United the most in terms of that starting 11, the options off the bench. But don't sleep on West Ham. You know, West Ham have just beaten Chelsea at home. Let's not forget. West Ham are that team that are in fourth at this moment in time. The only problem I've got with West Ham, it's not me having a personal problem with West Ham. The only reason I might have a little bit of doubt is that Europa League. I think West Ham, depending on how that draw goes, I think West Ham have got a real chance this year in that Europa League. I think they're well suited to play in that kind of competition. You know, counter-attacking football. You see what they did to Chelsea. I think Moyes wants that trophy, to be honest with you. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops.
I love Corey, but they're not winning the Europa League. Come on now.
Why not? That's just Villarreal won it last year. West Ham are a better team than Villarreal.
Solskjaer tax, isn't it?
Solskjaer tax.
In all seriousness, if you look at
Dortmund are in it though, right?
West Ham would beat Barcelona right now. West Ham would beat Dortmund and Barcelona right now.
We could beat Barcelona right now.
Well, there you go.
You think they beat Dortmund?
I think it's a competitive game. I don't think it's just because they're Borussia Dortmund and we're West Ham, we should just roll over and say. And all I'm saying is this season we've beaten Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and I just feel that, and particularly with a stadium on Saturday in that type of game, it wasn't our best performance.
Oh, you weren't booing this week then?
I never boo. I never leave to the end. I mean, and ironically, I couldn't even get out for about 20 minutes because everyone's outside the Heineken bar. So, you know, it was one of them days.
You were scrapping with the Chelsea fans is what it was, mate.
You want to be careful, lads. You're coming down. When's the FA Cup again?
Imagine. We know Corey.
You can put that out backed off yesterday after your what's his name Sergio Canos. We saw you on that picture. We saw you on that still image getting rattled by Sergio Canos.
Someone sent it to me. I want to see it.
You've not seen this picture?
I haven't seen that either.
I saw his post-match and he just kept saying Sergio Canos like every 5 seconds. It could have been a great finish from Canos in fairness to him. But it has rattled you, mate.
Well, do you know what it is, right? We'll speak about. We've got history with Brentford and Sergio Canos. Like Sergio Canos headbutted Alioski in plain sight. Like Alioski was playing the game, he fell into the dugout and he walked up behind him and literally headbutted him in the back of the head. Yeah, and no retrospective action were taken, and it was plain to see. And then obviously there was a big kick-off between Orta and their backroom staff. They wanted to beat us. They came to Welland Road. Morpay, give it this, you know. So then Sergio Canos, every time he got the ball, I was going, please not him. Please not him. And then he got the assist and then scored the second. And he ran straight over to my corner where I am and went, this is mine. This is mine. So obviously all the fans were going mental at him.
Yeah.
And mate, listen, I don't condone it, right? I will say this. We were all saying this afterwards. A bottle was thrown, right? Not condoning it. Let me just say that. But it was, the shot was square on, just like pop. Like he was in the middle of a group of people, and whoever threw it, it just was like a homing beacon, and you just seen it coming down from us, and it just went bang, and he obviously hit the deck. I'm not condoning that, but you know there was.
Joe, was it you?
Saying, no,
because you're talking about the shot as if
was it Claudio? Claudio was getting stuck in there as well.
No, yeah. I just dislike Sergio Canos. And to be honest, I dislike Brentford. I don't like them. I don't go along with this, or they do everything the right way and all that sort of stuff. Nah, they just cheese me off. Thomas Frank's a pleb as well, so I just dislike them. And I hope they go down. I don't think they will, though.
I love that all the people you hate, Joe, it's from the Championship. It just reminds me the size of your club all the time, you know? That's Brentford from the Championship, Lampard from the Championship, and all this. Yeah.
How many league titles have we won since Tottenham last won a trophy?
A lot. Well, Tottenham won a trophy in 20.
Sorry, not a trophy. A league title.
Oh yeah, since the league. I'm not here saying Tottenham are better than Leeds.
Well, it just seems a bit strange to make that point if you're not, having to go with size of clubs and that lot. It seems a bit of an odd point to make to me, Matt, to be honest with you. Bit like comparing Bastoni and Ben Davis, really.
I was going for Joe when I got Oscar. That wasn't even.
Yeah, because you know why? Because he's going to back his boy because we're Leeds. Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, you got the new stadium, but ironically, the biggest teams that actually come to your stadium are the NFL ones. They're the ones that get the most noise when you go there.
That's fair.
So,
in fact, I've got to be honest, Henry. Tottenham fans don't make any noise at our grounds. I'm surprised they make it at their own. In fairness to them, bless them.
Oh, Matt,
you just made one strike.
You come for the king and
never start on the host. Never ever start on the host. I wouldn't have got that backing off Henry and Corey then. I've not got that clout, you see, that Joe Wayman's got.
It's Wayman tax, trust me.
I wouldn't have got that backing
heavy.
I know for this.
Hey, brilliant. No, listen, do you know what? We'll touch on it briefly, Oscar. Obviously, Bamford being back gets us a point, last ditch, Like I said, I should have been elated, but I wasn't because we gifted Brentford 2 goals. We dominated that first half. I said 2-0. I was like, yeah, we'll get one second half. It'll be coasting. We came out. Calvin got took off, injured, and we went to pot for that 10 minutes, and Brentford scored 2 goals. It was a frustrating one, but I'm just happy that Bamford's back, and back amongst the goals. What was it like for you, mate?
Yeah, I think first half I thought we were a better team overall first half. I thought we looked okay first half. I think everyone around me said the same kind of thing.
Scored. Do you know what I mean?
What's that?
Tyler Roberts scored.
Yeah, lovely goal as well. What I liked about the goal was it's a training ground type of goal. Like in terms of all the movement, Rafinha's put. To be fair, the first ball in off Rafinha was really dangerous. I know Phil Hay was saying it was a Janssen mistake, but I thought it was a really, really good ball in. I think he gave Janssen that decision to make, and then the second one's even better. It's into Tyler, and great take off Tyler Roberts as well. And I just thought, to be honest, I thought Tyler was probably one of our best players yesterday. I thought he did really well up top. But we just have a 10-minute spell, and then unfortunately, no matter who you play at this level, if you have a 10-minute spell of madness, that's what happens. The first goal we probably can defend better, but it's a lovely hit. Yeah. I've got to say that much. It's one of them. As soon as he hit it, you knew it's in. You knew it's in. For where I was, it's like, it's in that, and obviously it nestles into the bottom corner. The second goal, from Brentford's point of view, they might say it's a very well worked goal. Again, I think that second goal was more down to we had to rearrange that back three a lot in the game. I think if Cooper's on the pitch, maybe we reacted a little bit quicker to that situation. But the second goal, the clinical with. And then it's one of them, I did always feel we'd get that chance. When Bamford's on the pitch, you just know how good his movement is. I know it's a tap-in, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but they are always the best goals from a striker's point of view because it's all from Bamford's movement and awareness, and it just felt destined to be Bamford because that's what he does. He comes up clutch. He did last season, and he has done this season. Burnley, Brentford, they could be 2 crucial last-minute goals from Bamford come the end of the season. If we lost both them games, it would be. It won't be looking so pretty, but look, we're 6 points above Burnley now. I think we're third bottom. I know they've got a game in hand, but I'm backing Tottenham in that game, to be honest. Under Conte, maybe under Nuno, you're probably backing Burnley there, to be honest. But I'm quietly confident. We've got obviously 6 point cushion there. We probably need that 6 point cushion going into this next, not just this next 4 games, next 5 games. I think people are sleeping on Villa a lot, to be honest. That Villa home game is going to be nasty. Especially if it's 2 days after the Liverpool game on Boxing Day. So, it's a tough run we've got coming up, but I still feel we can get results in some of them. I think, look, the Man City and Liverpool ones you're looking at and thinking they're going to be tough, but you never know with this Leeds team. We took 4 points off City. I think we've looked better against the better teams, I think, this season. West Ham, as Corey said, our first half against West Ham was probably one of the best halves we've played all season. First half against Tottenham, under Conte.
Against Man United as well.
Well, let's that's
for Luke Ayling strike. That's it, and then the rest of it was terrible.
That was a glorious minute. That's all I'm going to say.
Isn't it mad that you guys have been spanked so many times by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he is an awful manager?
Yeah, it's mad.
But they slapped around.
Yeah, I just think it obviously counter-attacking, and You know, you had so much. Yeah.
Hero
it was
ball and
bad, wasn't
vibes,
it?
man. That's what it is. That's where it's at.
We probably have more chance against a Ragnick side. That's the mad thing. And Ollie's a much worse coach. Do you know what I mean? It is a bit mad, like. But yeah. I found the picture as well, guys. I don't know if you can spot me anywhere. I'm wearing the yellow North Face jacket towards the top right.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Wayman, you got a serious grin on your
He's
neck.
angry. That's Eamon angry.
Felt that. Yeah.
That's Wayman when he's waiting for a video to upload on YouTube. Straight after a game, man, like, it's not uploading. He's fuming.
You look like you've stepped on a piece of Lego right there. Like, he proper has hurt you as well.
Oh, he was. I hate him. I even had a dig at his hair in my post-match. Like, that's how much he'd rattled me. Yeah, but 6 points clear of the drop now, Oscar. Going into these next 4, like you said, we'll be all right, I think. We will be all right, and hopefully we can do something in January. There's noises as well of Leeds getting a permanent takeover from the 49ers. I don't know how I feel about that, because every single American owner that's in the Premier League ain't great. Obviously, what happening at Manchester United. Am I right in saying Spurs is Enick? Are they American? Are they, Matt? You're muted, pal.
You're on mute, mate.
I don't know if they're American. I think Joe Lewis might be. Daniel Levy obviously isn't. But they are useless. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll talk about that another day. Let's talk to Corey. Arguably had the biggest result of the weekend. Can we even call it a shock? I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
We probably can, to be fair, mate. Come on. Otherwise, it takes the credibility. It takes the little shine.
Go on then, yeah. What a shock.
You know what I mean?
The shock of the weekend.
Do you know what, though?
To be fair, guys, you were saying this Chelsea team was one of the best teams we've ever seen in Premier League history a couple of weeks ago. So,
Who said that?
Fair play. Oscar did call it. Did you see the picture, Oscar, of the Ballon d'Or, and it had like Darth Vader?
Did I see it? I made the picture, mate. Oh, don't get me started. Honestly, Jorginho, I can't wait for Forshaw to press him on Saturday. I can't wait for him to get pressed against Forshaw on Saturday.
He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal for Chelsea on Saturday. A little bit of pressure from Declan Rice, and he absolutely panicked. J5, third best in the world, just got done up by a West Ham press. It was beautiful. Absolutely amazing. And I think with that...
By the player he's supposedly better than as well, just to add.
Well, there we are. If only Hassan was here to revel in his press-proof abilities. But in all seriousness, I just think West Ham... But I don't think West Ham were brilliant in that game, if I'm honest. I know people talk about much better in the second half, executed the game plan perfectly. But the first half, I think, in possession, we weren't great. It was a little bit incoherent. I think there was worries there with Antonio. We basically played 5-3-2 with Bowen and Antonio up front. And I think that was primarily, you'd get the 3 midfielders in there with Manu trying to build up play from deep and carry the ball. You'd have 2 players up front, Bowen to try and stretch Chelsea and get at that back 3 a little bit more. I had huge concerns going into that game whether West Ham could genuinely hurt them 1v1 without Antonio. But that slight tweak, giving Bowen a little bit of license to get in behind and stretch him, he was unbelievable. It was probably the best game I've seen him in a West Ham shirt. Hold up play, movement in behind, defensive work rate. And to be fair, like even the position, even when we weren't good on the ball, the minute Chelsea tried to play out from the back, Moyes literally played 4 men right in front of Chelsea. They couldn't play out from it. Mendy couldn't play long. Mendy constantly wanted to give it to Jorginho. We just didn't allow that. And that's where our goal came from. I can't get a gloss over it that Chelsea's goals were disappointing defensively from our point of view. Antonio really didn't defend his zone against Thiago Silva, and it's a bit poor from that perspective. And even when you look at the second goal, poor in terms of goalkeeping, arguably Fabianski could have done better. It's a beautiful goal from Mount, in fairness to him. But the fact that Declan Rice has lost the ball, the fact that we're out of shape, the wing-backs are too high, there's a catalogue of errors there. So when we went 2-1 down, I thought, we're not coming back into this because there's just not enough. I can't see enough in this team. But one thing I'll say about being at the ground on Saturday, even though we were slightly out of form, I thought the fans did a really good job. The atmosphere was absolutely fantastic, and we got behind the players, and I think they responded. We were just more aggressive on the counter second half, to be honest. I just think we committed bodies forward. We got Soufal forward a lot more, hence that the second goal is brilliant. And that's what I'm saying. I think teams look at Chelsea and they think, well, we can't go and press them because they're 3 fantastic individual centre-backs with Jorginho. But we tried to do it. We were brave enough to do it, and we got the result. Masuaku, it's a fluke goal. I understand. Okay, it's not. He obviously didn't mean it, but at the same time, it felt like we kind of earned the right to get a result in that game, a draw or a win, regardless, because he made the right changes. David Moyes, he really did, and I think people talk about managers. They obviously you get your elite three. I don't think Moyes is that far behind. I genuinely don't believe that. And there's been a number of times this season where he's. But look, you can laugh, man. You can laugh. But what I'm saying is he's not at that level. Of course he's not. But he does tweak things in the game, and he did tweak it second half. And Tuchel didn't respond that well. And Tuchel tried to bring Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, play in the half spaces. He just dropped Declan Rice into a back three, and he couldn't deal with it, and he couldn't break us down. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Even when the team isn't great, which it wasn't at times, tactically, we made the right changes and we got the result. When arguably, that's not the best of West Ham. It's definitely not better than the Liverpool performance. But at the end of the day, 3 points was massive. It was getting a little bit, everyone was starting to go, oh, is this the West Ham of old? It's, are we going to dip down? Are we going to be, mid-table? But those players really dug it out. And Reece James, don't ever scream at Manu Lanzini before he takes a penalty, mate, because he will slot it right past Mendy, no problem. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Little back and forth there, little back and forth with Mason Mount giving it to the West Ham fans. So yeah, there you go. There's the roundup of that game. But big 3 points, mate, actually. And I think we've actually managed, from a title race perspective, to claw it back a little bit. And Liverpool and City will probably be buzzing with that, to be fair. We've really kind of pulled them down a peg. So
I think, to be fair, I think the irony of the result is that people obviously will turn on Chelsea, and it's been a pretty bad week in terms of their results. They've had a draw, win, and a loss, which people will go, oh, the wheels coming off. But it's a West Ham side that have beaten United. They've beaten City. I know City was in the EFL Cup. They've now beaten Chelsea, and they've beaten Liverpool as well. So I would go as far as saying, people will go, oh my God, Chelsea are terrible, oh, this, that, and the other. Chelsea are missing Kovacic and Kante, both of which would have been a lot more handy against West Ham's midfield of runners. So I think it's a massive overreaction, and I will, I know Oscar mentioned about Chelsea the greatest side. I will maintain that I still think Chelsea will win the league, just based on the fact that they've got such a deep squad. And you look at the players that can come back from injury. They've got Chilwell to come back in January. Alonso's their backup, who's, I'd argue, one of the best backup left backs you're going to get in the league. So I think it's a bit of an overreaction, and I think teams will lose to West Ham away. The big sides will, because the atmosphere, the way the West Ham play, which is get the ball and quick transitions, which big sides struggle against. I think it will happen a lot at that ground. So, yeah, I still think the title race, there's 2 points between three teams. That result hasn't put Chelsea massively on the back foot at all. One weekend of different results, and it's all up in the air again. So,
I'll tell you what was interesting. When Lukaku came on in that second half, they didn't look to cause us as many problems at all. I had a feeling Tuchel would go with false nine against us with Mount and Havertz because of the movement and trying to drag us out of position with Craig Dawson. I guess Moyes kind of responded with a back three, but it was so much easier for us to actually deal with Lukaku because Dawson and Diop, all they wanted was a 1v1, and their hold-up play with him, they just haven't figured it out yet. And Lukaku, albeit, yes, okay, he's not fit, I don't think we see him run in behind enough. And I think if they had a player, if Werner was a much better finisher, he would have given us nightmares because Dawson couldn't have dealt with him. And it actually helped us, ironically.
You're right, because when they've played Werner and Lukaku in the same side, they've usually won games, and they've done really well with those two because they've got a runner. Lukaku, he failed not failed at United. He scored a lot of goals, to be fair, for United. But he only played well when he had a quicker player next to him, like Rashford or a Martial up there with him. And the same goes for him with Lautaro at Inter. He has to have someone to bounce off him up front. And I think I don't think Chelsea's formation is the problem. I think that if they can get Mount to be a little bit closer and then get Werner on the other side, or they've got so many options to rotate. Pulisic is one of those.
I like Hudson-Odoi, to be honest. I find Tuchel's management of Hudson-Odoi very confusing. I just think Mount can kind of play as a 10. Hudson-Odoi can kind of drift around, drift out wide when he needs to, push up alongside Lukaku because he's a good finisher, Hudson-Odoi. I agree, Werner, if you had kind of like Hudson-Odoi's end products and Werner's kind of pace and directness, you probably have the perfect player. But yeah, I think that's something that Tuchel deserves a lot of criticism for, to be honest. I think if he hadn't have won the Champions League last season, he probably would be getting a lot more criticism for that, in all honesty, because he spent, let's not forget, 100 million on Lukaku. And you kind of think when you spend 100 million, adding to what they already had, it should really be the final piece of the jigsaw. But I don't disagree with anything you've said there, Henry, mate. I think Chelsea are a very good team. Very, very good team. And yes, they conceded 3 goals against West Ham, but let's be honest. I mean, when you look at the 3 goals, 2 of them are complete and utter fuck-ups from Mendy. And how often does Mendy make mistakes? I mean, let's be honest. I did say about Mendy's save percentage that it wasn't sustainable, but he's just throwing it all away in like one game, basically. But that's not going to happen every week. I mean, it just sums up the social media. I've seen shouts for Kepa to start the next game from Chelsea fans. I love it when Chelsea get beat because you just see completely overreactions. But I just look at Chelsea. I just look at Tuchel. I think both are very, very good. World class. But they're just not at Klopp and Pep's level for me. And I just don't think, as a team, or how they play, or how sustainable what they try and do on the football pitch is compared to Man City and Liverpool, I just don't think it is. I think Liverpool, that win against Wolves is pretty much their first scrappy win in ages. I think every other game they've pretty much been battering teams. City, again, just play teams off the park. I just think with Chelsea, they're very reliant on the margins going from, and if Lukaku's not on form and they're lacking goals elsewhere and starting to concede at the other end of the pitch as well, I just see... I agree with you in terms of Kante and Kovacic should just be Chelsea's midfield too. None of this Jorginho nonsense. Play 2 proper midfielders. Play 2 proper midfielders who can play box to box. Going to put that work rate in. Because Kante and Kovacic, you look at the last time Chelsea won the league, the one that had Kante and Matic. I'm not saying Matic and Kovacic are directly similar players, but you certainly... Kovacic is closer to Matic than what Jorginho is. The fact he can defend, he can break the lines with passing, he is athletic. I just think that's, they're closer to what Chelsea need to do. But are they brave enough to drop people like Jorginho and who's the other one, Ziyech and that lot? I just think players are just, some weeks great, other weeks let you down, to be honest.
Just look at Liverpool, though, quickly. They've drawn against Brentford and Brighton this year. So... they've shown that they can switch off. They've shown that they can switch off. That is a very bold claim, but fair enough. They've shown that they can switch off in games, and I think that will cost them because when AFCON comes around, I think people will need to remember that AFCON, they'll lose Mane and Salah. And
I swear if they get to the final, they'd only even, and that's if they get all the way to the final, they'd only miss them for a couple of games. I don't think
it's still be a big miss though. Who would they bring in?
Sure. 3 or 4, and if you look at the title race now, it's 2 points between the sides, and if it's like that come January time, which I think it will be pretty close, then 2 games is massive, or 3 games is huge, and I just think that and then you're looking at players in their field, will they keep fit? Naby Keita, will he keep fit? Milner's been injured every now and then, so when it comes down to depth, I genuinely believe that Chelsea have the strongest squad in the league. City are great, but midfield and sometimes when they have to play like Nathan Ake at the back, I think, okay, like that could be
West Ham, that lad.
Oh, I'll tell you what, get him in now.
Though,
what a signing that would be.
Midfield, defensively.
Man City's midfield?
Defensively, specifically. If they lose Fernandinho, then they've got to play Rodri every single game. And I think...
That's hardly a disaster though, is it?
No, it's not a disaster, but I think with the amount of games that you've got, if you've got one or 2 players in that position, Chelsea have got 4 players.
Play there.
Chelsea's got 4 players that can play in that position. They've got Loftus-Cheek, who plays in a midfield too. They've got Kante, they've got Jorginho, and they've got Kovacic. Who all
how good are Loftus-Cheek? Again, I'm not a massive Loftus-Cheek fan, to be honest.
Neither am I.
In that Chelsea team,
he hates Chelsea, Oscar. He hates.
4th choice. Imagine having someone like that as your 4th choice.
No, it's a good point.
That's a fair point.
So when Chelsea are going to play, like they're playing against Watford, and you're looking at that and you're thinking, when they've got those games that can come around, they can rotate. Whereas I just think that...
But equally, what if Chelsea lost Thiago Silva? like a leader. I always think Chelsea look weaker without Thiago. I know he didn't have the best of games against West Ham, but I think he's so key. Him or Rudiger, I think since Rudiger's obviously picked up that injury, I think Chelsea's form's dipped a little bit. And, me and Joe have been Rudiger fans all season. I think he plays that role superbly well. But I just think if Silva goes out, I'm thinking Christensen, Aspilicueta, Chalobah. Who's really going to?
Those are all.
Aspilicueta's a leader, but is he going to win headers in the box? Kind of thing, like a Thiago Silva dominate.
They definitely have Chelsea. There's a strong case, obviously, for the squad depth, which I completely understand. I think the difference with Liverpool and City is, I think Chelsea, I'm not saying they can be found out, but in certain games where their build-up's not there or their wing-backs aren't as good, I think you can defend against it. Whereas I look at Liverpool at the minute with their midfield, arguably players could come out. Klopp changes the way that they'll play throughout the game, and there's so many different ways that they can win. It's the same with Manchester City. I think that's why they've got the staying power over Chelsea, to be fair. And look, people look at West Ham, it might be an anomaly. Chelsea drew 1-1 to Burnley because they couldn't break them down. Yeah. And I think teams will eventually start to say, let's just sit slightly deeper. Some teams can't do it throughout the full 90. That's fair enough, but that's where Chelsea will
that's when they've adapted a little bit in the sense that their wing backs are becoming so much more important in the game as Liverpool's fullbacks push on so high. You look at the quality of Reece James in the final third, and I'd even argue Marcus Alonso defensively he's a bit of a liability, but going the other way, he scores a lot of goals, and I think that's where Thomas Tuchel will get out of it in the sense that if they're in trouble, they can just put Lukaku in the box and ping balls into him, and that is his bread and butter. And you look at the guys that are in the back, can get to the back post. Christian Pulisic, the amount of times, I know he gets injured all the time, but the amount of times I've seen him come back from an injury and get in at the back post and score a winner, I just look at the side and I think...
They're good players, but all I'd say is Man City, you've got Phil Foden, Mahrez, Sterling coming into form. Bernardo Silva's obviously chipping in with goals. Jesus has had a good season so far. You've got a lot of firepower there. With Liverpool, you've got Mane, Jota, Salah, and that lot. I just don't see the same. Personally, I just don't see the same with Chelsea. Lukaku, I think, on form is a fantastic striker. But outside of that, I just look at it and think Havertz, Mount, great some weeks, but I just don't see them delivering the same output as a Salah or Mane or Mahrez, Sterling, whoever you want to call from City.
City without a striker, the biggest mistake of their season was not buying a striker in the summer. And,
they're doing all right without one, though. Yeah, they're doing all right without one.
I think they would be a different animal with one. They would be completely different. I know
it would be over by now. Genuinely, I think it'd be done. I think we'd all be looking at it thinking they'd be 6 or 7 points clear, and we'd all be looking at it thinking they're out of sight. So I just think you look at that and you think, okay, they've got great players in their side. Don't get me wrong, they've got great players in their side, but they have dropped points. They've lost it. I know they lost the game to Palace. I know they were down to 10 men for part of it, but from what I could hear, from what they were saying, they were still struggling. They struggle with counter-attacking sides more than anyone. I know from Solskjaer setting up and 11 at the back and then just break with 3 or 4 players and they fall apart. So,
do you think it's the ideal time to be playing Chelsea as a Leeds fan? But from a Leeds perspective on Saturday, obviously beating Watford 2-1, like you say, getting a point against Burnley, losing to West Ham, they do seem to have dipped a little bit from the earlier parts of the season. Do you?
It's never an ideal time to play him.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get some positives from the panel.
Brilliant.
Do you think?
Sorry.
What is there another goal?
Richarlison scored, mate. It's a great goal.
So is it one apiece?
Yep.
Well, I'll have to check my bet one and see if the others have had shots on target. What do you reckon? Ideal time, or we're still getting battered?
I think you're still going to struggle, if I'm honest. They are still a very, very good team. And I just wonder, look, I mean, I don't want to talk about West Ham too much, obviously, but I think we're so well organised. Even when we did play higher and we lost the ball, we were in shape so quickly. And I think that does play a massive part in restricting Chelsea from those wide areas. And Leeds are, of course, very expansive. At the same time, I kind of look at what we did in terms of pressing, and teams don't really want to press against Chelsea because of the threat. And I think, well, maybe there is an opportunity there. And you've had some players come in, obviously Forshaw. I don't know if Phillips is injured or not. That would be a bit of a knife edge for me, depending if he's fit and how the game sways. But it's a better time to play Chelsea, but it's never a good time. And I think Tuchel as well will respond. I think he'll drop Lukaku because he's not fit, and I think he'll take him out. And I think they'll have a real dynamic front three. I can see Hudson-Odoi playing. Maybe look at Pulisic, I don't know, and Werner possibly just to stretch the game. And I think they'll go down that route, which is where I worry for.
Say it, mate. They're going to batter us, yeah.
They got a point to prove. You look at when Liverpool lost to West Ham, and they come back afterwards, and they're a phenomenal team again. So I genuinely believe Chelsea needed to lose a game because they were, scraping by a little bit in some games. I think it's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to be down and in the dumps, and you're going to get a draw or possibly even a better result, or I think they'll come out with a point to prove, bit between their teeth, and they'll really go for you because I think they have got a point to prove because the result and the performance was pretty poor, really.
Matt, let's come to Matt. You did tell me to take Harry Kane out of my dream team, and I decided against it because you were playing Norwich, and I was sat on the bus on the way back from Ellen Road, and I heard the guy behind me going, Spurs won 3-0, and I thought, I'll get in there. And he went, Mora. Yeah, he was a right old guy, and he did the name and also the time. I can't remember the time, but he went like to his pal, Mora, 13th minute. I was thinking, next to the kid. And none of them were Kane. I was like, oh, for God's sake, man. But I was also, I've not watched the game back, mate, but I was listening to a pod that I normally listen to reviewing the games, and they were saying that, to be fair, Norwich had chances. I think Pookie missed the City, did he, in the first couple of minutes, and that Sargent missed a couple as well. So maybe not as plain sailing as the result tells us.
By the way, Richarlison's been disallowed again. But the way I put it is, it was another clean sheet for Tottenham, but the Norwich front men have to take more credit for that than we do, because Adamida missed a gilt-edged opportunity. Pookie had that chance early on, and Josh Sargent did a Josh Sargent thing where a shot went backwards from the edge of the 6-yard box. But look, you can look at the stats and you can see that Norwich had 60% of the ball at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which on the face of it obviously looks really negative. But Conte came out after the game and he was asked about that, and he said it's not a concern. He was expecting it because he says something like the best managers adapt the way they play to the players that they have. And it's completely true that the players that we have are better suited to counter-attacking football, better suited to picking the ball up and just driving straight for the goal rather than keeping possession. So he was happy for that to happen. And I made that point in the way we played against Brentford. And it's the exact same in the way we played against Norwich, in that we didn't have a lot of possession, but we still seemed in control of things for the majority of the time. Now, you can put that down to the lack of cutting edge those teams have in terms of creativity in the middle of the park to really open us up. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And I think we did that well in both games. Harry Kane, I think the service to him could have been better. There's a few times, there's once when Son could have slipped him in on goal. He tried to shoot and it was deflected wide. And there was a chance for Ben Davies to pick him out of the back post, and he opted to play it down the line instead of crossing it. But the few chances that Kane did get, he was useless. He got the ball at one stage 30 yards out from goal, and Tim Krul was way off his line. He tried to dink it over him. Not the easiest of chances, but one that Harry Kane would typically take. And he put that way wide. He had a 1-on-1 that was saved by Krul, and he had a few efforts from range as well that were comfortable for the keeper. But it's just what we're expecting from Kane at the moment, which is upsetting. Oliver Skip, unbelievable. And you can laugh at me if you want when I say that. Man of the match 2 games in a row, absolutely controlled that midfield from first minute to last. Showed a lot more passing range going forward, which I was speaking about. He was lacking against Brentford. Skip is now what Højbjerg was last season. Not maybe in terms of quality, but in terms of importance to what we're doing. And of course, him alongside Højbjerg in the middle of the park, there is a lot of resilience in there. But he's an incredible, incredible player. Emerson and Gill were missing from that game yesterday. Reguilon went off injured, which is a concern. Romero is also injured, and there's some rumours going around at the moment, and that things could be getting a lot worse for Tottenham in the coming days on that front. But look, like I said, you can only beat what's in front of you, and I think we did that fairly comfortably in the end.
Yeah, what's next for Harry Kane? Do you January, do you think, or does he stay forever? Like, what's the story, mate?
I don't think he leaves purely for the fact that if Daniel Levy at any point resigns to the fact that we will be losing him, he's going to hope that Kane can have a good couple of months and get that price back up a bit. Because right now, I mean, you're looking at 60, 70 million maximum for him coming into the year he turns 29. He's an injury-prone player, and it does seem really harsh. But that 6 months where he's done absolutely nothing knocks a lot off his price, especially when you have to look at the fact that City were overpaying in the summer anyway, with their apparent £127 million bid. There is that hope that he is Harry Kane, so he will turn it around. And I was only thinking about it earlier. I think I'm more frustrated at him than any other Tottenham fan, and I give him a lot more stick than maybe he deserves, but with the way he did things about the summer. But I was still thinking at any point he could go and he could score 3 against Brighton on Sunday, and then he still ends the season with 20, 30 goals. I don't think it's going to happen, but the ability for that to happen is there. And I think that's what's really important to us at the moment. But certainly the love for Harry Kane in the Tottenham fan base is a lot less than it was coming into the end of last season.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the stick I got off Joe and Corey when they compared Kane to Torres at Liverpool, just slowly declining. I tell you what, the stick I got off you two for that. And
Cool, you've been harbouring that for a long time.
It's had me that long.
Been
That
in
I
the
went.
back pocket for a while. I don't even remember that.
I'm learning from the best here, though, in that top left corner that's harbouring. Just add that to the diary. Just remind Corey and Joe of that.
Is it actually a decline from Kane, or is it just simply that he's unmotivated, or is it simply that Conte doesn't yet know how to get the best out of him?
Do you know what? I don't think it's motivation. At the start of the season, I would have thought that, but he, like the last couple of games, he has been pressing, which you never really saw from Kane in the past. He has been pressing. He has been, getting on the ball a little bit more. He's been pinging passes better than he has been. So I don't think it's motivation. But then at that point, is it more concerning that it's not that? Is it more concerning that it's actually a form thing? It actually may be a quality thing. I don't know if he is, a knock that he's carrying as he usually does. But it's just hard to tell where it goes and how to fix it. And look, there's no doubt last season was the best season of Harry Kane's career. Golden Boot winner, Playmaker Award winner, and he did that by playing that deeper position, almost that quarterback role for Jose Mourinho. Nuno, I think, tried to make him more of an out-and-out striker, but the lack of trust in the entire squad and what Nuno was trying to do. I think Kane himself naturally reverted back to what he was doing last season, and great if that's what he's best at, but then he's out of sync with the rest of the team because the rest of the team is playing in a way that needs Harry Kane as an out-and-out number 9. And Conte famously said during the Euros, if he had Harry Kane in his team, he would be in the box and only in the box. He'd be up there at every point. And to be fair, he stuck to his word. That's the way Kane has been playing. But with the lack of service and the lack of quality when on the odd time the ball does get to him, it's just not working out. And there doesn't really seem to be a kind of fix to that problem in sight.
Because you argue as well, it's poor movement from Kane. That whenever I've seen him, I thought, against us, that second half, I thought when Tottenham were really on top, I thought, that's a good ball into the box. That's a good little ball off Reguilon, and then Kane's just nowhere to be seen. I'd still argue Kane's got to take a lot of the responsibility himself and just trust that team around him, really. But I don't see him going in January because I don't think he's good enough for City now. To be perfectly honest with you, the way City are playing, does he get in straight into that team? Does he improve that team the way Kane is right now?
They'll wait for
Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland's an obvious one.
Kane's in trouble, though, seriously, in the sense that if he does want to leave Spurs, who's going to take him now? Because everyone's going to be battling out for Haaland at the end of the year.
I'd take him.
And
Do you know what might happen?
I'd stop him for Bamford.
I would.
Pochettino might go to United, and then it might happen. And then I can kind of half see it.
I don't think. I think. Poch is a.
Where does Ronaldo play?
But again, it comes down to that. We could have them both, but then it's telling them both. Ronaldo wants to play every game, and I know that people say, he's 30, 36 years old. I think the reality is that guy's a physical specimen. He can play two games, maybe 1.5 games a week, and he's been doing it for the start of the season for United. So, do United really bring in Kane when priorities have got to be elsewhere when it comes to our team? We've got to get a good defensive midfielder and maybe
Henry, that's
another number 8 as well.
I'm just spitballing. That's all I can think of because I genuinely don't believe Kane in current form. I can't see who would take a punt on him because I still think he commands 70, 80 mil. To be honest,
who does want him? But it comes down to the Levy I think he made a mistake. And I think that when you hold a player against their will, it was so clear he wanted to go. It was so obvious without him directly saying it, although he basically did on that that podcast golf thing with Gary Neville. He said
Most
there's a
bizarre thing I've ever
conversation
seen
to be
from
had. When he said there's a conversation to be had, that means I want to fuck off. I want to go. That means that I want out. It's as simple as that. You can't go. And he's your captain and everything combined. And you just thought, if you get 100 mil for him, because if he doesn't perform, that price halves, maybe a little bit, maybe 3/4. But you're still losing out on 30, 40 million, which could go towards another better player. And Conte could get the best out of him, but you can't get the best out of a player that does not want to be at the club. It's as simple as that. If he doesn't want to be there and he's not at 100% by now, by the way, it's, we've played a third of the games this season, probably a little bit less. If we're that far into the season and he's still a bit kind of iffy, there's a problem there. And I think he's going to struggle to get 10 goals this season, which would be an awful season for Harry Kane.
I don't know. I agree with Matt a little bit, though. I think once he gets 1, he might. Do you know what I mean? I think 10. I don't know. I still don't see him only getting 10.
What's he on now? What?
He's on 1, and that's a really concerning thing, because I do agree that once he gets that first goal, the rest will follow. He scored 1 against Newcastle. I think it was mid-October, and the commentary team in Ireland on Thursday, who are absolute idiots, actually made a good point, and they said that it just seems to be when Kane gets in a goal, it's the pressure. Like, he usually takes that shot quickly, but he's maybe taking an extra touch and trying to maybe change his style of how he's actually trying to beat the keeper. And you realise then that goal he scored against Newcastle, he thought he was offside. He thought he was miles offside, and he just kind of I can't even think of the word, but not even expecting anything to happen, just dinked the ball over the Bravka. Nonchalant, that's exactly it. He just wasn't really expecting anything to happen. And then it went to VAR and he was onside, and you could see he was a bit surprised. So there is that pressure on him. And I fully agree with what Henry said there. It's when the performances just aren't coming, that price drops. And I made that point when Joe, when you brought me on here to rant for views over the summer when that was happening. I said, like, I didn't expect Kane to sorry. I said I didn't expect Kane to come out and say publicly he wanted to leave. He did. I didn't expect him to skip training. He did. But I didn't expect him to perform like the way he has now, because whether or not he wants to be at Tottenham, he still needs to prove himself for a move further down the line because of his age and because of his injury history. But he also wants records. He, since the first goal he scored in the Premier League, has been eyeing Alan Shearer's records of 260. And he needed 20, 30 goals a season for every year because of how late he actually came into the Premier League. And I thought that would be enough to carry him through a decent last season for Tottenham if this was going to be his last season. But it clearly hasn't.
With every manager that comes in, he's probably thinking, like, Conte's not a long-term manager as well. Poch was. And he's probably thinking, like, respectfully, Conte's a great manager, fantastic manager. Any team would be lucky to have him. But he's probably thinking, another one? Like, it failed with Nuno quite miserably. And he wants a stable team with a manager that, yes, is going to win something, but he's probably thinking, right, Mourinho, when Mourinho came in, he was fantastic, and he's probably thinking, okay, we've got a chance to win something. And then you sacked your manager, going into a cup final, and everyone's thinking, like, what on earth are these lot doing? So after that, I think it was almost like, what's the point? If we're going to get to a final and he's going to dump the manager, what's the point anymore? So I struggle to see what's going to happen with him. And he's just going to keep getting stick. He shouldn't be in the England side either, if I'm honest.
No, you can't say that, man.
He scored 7 in the last 2 games. Right?
Yeah. Do you know what I will say about Harry Kane? I remember. I think it was against Poland, and he was having a shocker, and everyone was taking him off. It's like, you leave Harry Kane on, because when he's on it, he's world class, and he will produce a moment. Granted, in the league, he hasn't done well this season, but that's the problem, I think, from the outside in. If Conte can get in the right system with the right movement off him and adapt it slightly for whatever reason, whether he's under pressure or not, or whether it's creativity, and he starts firing, West Ham and United have got a big problem, because all of a sudden Tottenham will be scoring goals, and defensively I believe they'll improve as well, and they will start to compete properly for top 4. So that's the knife edge, isn't it? When you're a player of that quality.
The big difference is that England, there's no coincidence there that he's scoring goals for England and he's not for Tottenham. It's not just because we're playing poor teams. He's got Alexander-Arnold there, whipping balls onto his head. Reece James, whoever it is playing on that side of the back four. Chilwell on the other side. He's got that constant delivery from both fullbacks in the air. He's got people like Phil Foden in the team with him, who can create for him. Jadon Sancho, Sterling, all these players around him. It's so different to what he's used to at Tottenham. And I'm not saying that it's something Tottenham can easily solve. You don't really ever totally associate a Conte team with being full of creativity, but it's an interesting one. Is he suited to being a Conte type striker? You look at the previous Conte strikers that have been successful. Diego Costa's, people that are going to really battle for 90 minutes. I don't know. Is that Kane? Is that Kane long term? And I think Conte is the manager who's got that bravery. If, as Henry says, it's quite possible Kane doesn't even hit double figures if he carries on like he is doing. I personally think he will. I think he will have a spell this season where he just hits maybe 10 in 10 and stat pads like he has done pretty much for England, because he's good at doing it. It's one of his specialities, to be fair, is Harry Kane's. But Conte would have the bravery to get rid of Kane. He had the bravery to get rid of Costa. Made the mistake bringing in Morata for Costa, but he had the bravery to do it, and there's no reason why he wouldn't have the bravery. Got rid of Matic as well. There's no reason why he wouldn't have the bravery to do the same with Kane if he didn't feel that he was pressing or doing what he wanted him to do.
I would have agreed with you on that, and I'd said it. If anyone's going to drop Kane, it will be Conte. But he said on Friday, he just can't see us playing any game at the moment without Kane, and he's basically said his place in the squad is safe, which I think is bizarre. But it's a good point you make up there about stylistically, is Kane suited to Conte? Because even with the way Conte said, we have to play kind of more counter-attacking football because our team isn't exactly suited to playing possession-based football. Harry Kane as the main man in a counter-attacking team, stylistically, that doesn't work. You can say all you want about the world-class qualities Harry Kane has had throughout his career. Pace has never been one of them. And he worked in that counter-attacking team under Mourinho because he was the one, playing that ball from deep. Son and Lucas were running on, and he got either assists from that or he got goals from then chasing the attack afterwards and getting the ball back. So stylistically, he doesn't suit that counter-attacking team being that main man. And maybe that's another reason why it just might not work out.
That's why you can never use him on FIFA as well, because he's slow. You know what I mean? He's slow as a cart horse. It's well annoying. Yeah, let's talk about another striker, right? Liverpool, Divock Origi, bit of a Liverpool legend. We'll talk not so much about Liverpool, obviously, just pulling it out of the bag again. But what do you make to Divock Origi? Like, do you think not on a level though? Like
one of the most underrated impact players in the league.
Do you not think though he should go and be the main man somewhere?
I don't think he's good enough.
Sure. I don't think I've seen. I haven't seen enough of him to convince me that he would be able to do what he does consistently. I know he has moments. Don't get me wrong, and he's a bit of a cult hero. But we were linked with him in the summer. I would take him as a punt on loan, and then hope that because he's been playing in a high press system that he's got something to offer. I just don't think he's just a player that I just can't really rate. Because, I mean, when has anyone seen him for 10, 15 games? I just don't. It's never happened.
When he starts, he's poor. When he starts, he's okay. But it's when he comes on that he's got a little bit of space in the box when teams are weary and tired. And he has got an instinctive finish, don't get me wrong. But when he's up against defenders that are fresh, he just seems to struggle for me. And I think he's the perfect player for what Liverpool need, which is come on and potentially get a goal. But he doesn't do that all the time. And when he does it, it's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, it's always in like that moment.
He does it once every 6 months. He does it once every 6 months, doesn't he? Like once every 4 months.
I don't know about that, to be fair, mate. I think what his stats are something like a goal every 100 minutes for Liverpool. He must do it more than once every 6 months.
He plays like once every 6 games.
Yeah, but he must score more than once every 6 months. Is my point.
I don't know how many goals he's actually got for Liverpool in his time there, but it's not a lot. So when it comes to being,
he scored a goal every 100 minutes. Yeah. His goal per minute ratio is better than Salah and Mane's. I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, but the thing is,
we're saying that now Origi is the goal.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I agree with you. There's an argument to say that.
Get him, Matt. Get him. Now's your chance, Matt, to get him back. You just said Origi's better than Salah.
I just click that and put it on Twitter and let the rest of people do. But look, the best way I can describe it with Divock Origi, I mean, look, Klopp made some very interesting comments at the weekend. He's like, I hope he finds a manager that will play him more than me. But there's a reason that when Firmino was injured earlier in the season, Jota played as a false nine. because as good as Origi is as an impact player, I think he's got the joint most goals for Liverpool off the bench in the Premier League. There's a reason he doesn't start those games, and it's because he just can't. There's also a reason why he's happy to be that player who just comes on once every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it is.
This is Liverpool, though. This is, to get into the Liverpool team, you've got to be a really, really good player. Look at the players that don't get in the Liverpool team. Is Ibrahim Konate not a good centre back? You can make the same argument that a player who's good enough to be a starting Premier League striker would never have gone to Liverpool in the first place with all those incredible strikers they've had. He was only a kid when he went to Liverpool.
Even then, he wouldn't be happy to stay there because he knows he at Liverpool right now knows he's never going to be a starting player. With the players there right now, he's not going to be there. If he was good enough, there's a certain level of striker that won't accept that. And I don't think Origi is at that level just yet.
When Divock Origi retires, who will be more satisfied in terms of their trophy haul and big moments in the career, Divock Origi or Harry Kane?
Obviously Divock Origi. He scored a Champions League final. But then it comes back to that point.
I'm not saying Origi's a better player. I'm just saying in terms of what Liverpool won.
If you were saying he was a better player, it would be gone by now. But he scores those goals. Like he gets that winner against Wolves. He gets that winner against Everton. He scores that Champions League final. He gets 2 against Barcelona in the Champions League as well. The goals he scores are in bizarre moments. I think when you get to that point...
You don't think Divock Origi could make... I don't know.
That is a goal.
Everton's just scored a third.
He's finally scored. He's scored a hat-trick tonight.
Everton. You don't think you can make Everton a better team? If he went there as a starting striker?
Not over Calvert-Lewin, no, not a chance.
You seriously don't think...
Calvert-Lewin's better than Origi.
In Origi's defence,
on what basis?
That he's a starting... Sorry, Corey. He's a starting
striker. He's definitely better than Origi, 100%.
He's absolutely better than Origi. Are you saying Origi's better than Calvert-Lewin?
Yes.
No way.
What? Watch him.
Based on what?
You think Origi goes to Everton right now and starts over Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
This is the thing. Always strikers. Oh, it's a link-up play good. This is good. This is that good. He scores goals. He puts the ball into the back of the net a hell of a lot for a centre forwards. That's a simple fact. Look, we talk about Ronaldo. What's the brilliant stuff Ronaldo does off the ball? The brilliant link-up play. Watch Ronaldo. He just puts the ball in the back of the net.
He's in a Liverpool team with Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson. If you put him in another team, he wouldn't score the same.
What does Ronaldo do outside of putting the ball in the back of the net these days? I'm not criticising Ronaldo. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry.
He does.
I'm sorry. I'm so drained of people saying this. I was there on Sunday, and he was one of the players that pressed the most in the game.
Ronaldo is the best striker in the league, but I have no problem with a striker who just puts the ball in the back of the net. But I don't see what he does outside of that.
He presses with the team. He galvanizes the team to get up with him constantly during the game. He's gesturing to all the players to get up with him, press with him, because he's the one that leads the press.
It's a good cheerleader.
When you're Ronaldo and your team plays up like that, it's going to work.
I'll have that cheerleader for Fernandes.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm so drained of people constantly saying to United fans, Ranić's going to struggle at United because Ronaldo doesn't press. That's such a nonsense. It's such a nonsense. He does press. It's just when he's instructed to do so, he will. And when he's not instructed to press, like under Solskjaer, where Solskjaer went, just stand up front and score, which he did. Then if he's told to press, he will. And he spent most of the game against Palace running and closing down. And I just think that the top players that are at the top of their game, they're not the ones that just stand there and score goals. They're the ones that work for the team as well, and he does work for the team. And Kane under Mourinho, another example. He was pressing all the time. He worked for the team, and I just think, going back to the original argument about Origi, I think if you put Origi in any of those other top 6 sides, I think he struggles. But I think if you put, so for example, put Cavani in that Liverpool team, he would score an absolute bag full of goals. Most strikers would.
Cavani's better than Origi. Cavani's done it for 10 years.
Calvert-Lewin in that.
Well, Calvert-Lewin, okay. In a Champions League semi-final, would Calvert-Lewin have taken those chances Origi does? Or in a Champions League final?
Can I ask you a question? You're saying Origi, who scores a goal every 100 minutes because he puts the ball in the back of the net, is a good Premier League striker and he's better than Calvert-Lewin. Gareth Bale last season had the best goals per minute ratio in the
Gareth Bale's great. I know what you're going to say.
No, let me just ask the question. Gareth Bale had the best goals per minute ratio in the Premier League, 11 goals, one every 90 minutes. Would you start him ahead of Salah at Liverpool for that reason? Because that's your basis for saying Origi's better than Calvert-Lewin. So you're saying Bale's better than
Oh,
Salah?
he's come for you.
Are you comparing Calvert-Lewin and Salah here?
I'm not comparing Calvert-Lewin and Salah. I'm comparing your argument saying Origi should start over Calvert-Lewin and using the exact same one to say, well, by that
do me a
logic,
favour, Matt. Do me a favour. Look at Origi's goal per minute ratio and look at Calvert-Lewin's.
Look at Bale's and look at Salah's. Bale's the best in the league.
Look at Calvert-Lewin's goal ratio in open play without penalties as well. You do me a quick favour.
This argument of excluding penalties.
Just another quick thing as well. Just another quick thing too. When Divock Origi starts for Liverpool, he never starts up top. Liverpool will never start a game with an out-and-out striker playing through the middle. They always start with a false nine. If it's Firmino or if it's Jota, Origi will always start on that left-hand side if he's starting the game. If he's coming on, he'll come on. He's not even playing his specific position. He's just playing to get in the box.
That's who I want in my team. 4 goals in 28 games. Bring him in. Consistency.
On a level, though, right? Let's ask a question. Like, where?
I mean, I'm not being funny, lads. How many goals have you scored in the Champions League? Why is she having to go at Origi? I don't know. I just find it strange how players that have got success get absolutely slated. They're just.
Oscar, the non-penalty goals thing that you just mentioned. Okay, so last season, Statman Dave put something up on the 14th of August, 2021. Mm-hmm. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored 17 non-penalty goals in the Premier League since the start of last season. Only Harry Kane, who had 19, has more.
Okay.
Oh, like a turtle, go back into that.
I don't rate Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to stand by that. I don't rate him.
I've seen he might be on his way to Arsenal as well. There, I don't know. I mean, it was Igal. It was Igal that tweeted it out, so maybe it's not 100% bob on. I think
Divock Origi's a good striker. I will stand by that point. He's a good striker.
No one's arguing that.
Where would he fit in? Where do you reckon he'd fit in, Oscar? If he were to leave in the summer or January, let's say, would you take him at Leeds because would you start him over Bamford? Because I'm going to say now, this might be controversial. This might be controversial. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's better than Bamford.
No,
he is.
He's not. Bamford's a better striker than Calvert-Lewin.
I'm not so sure, mate.
For me, he's a better striker than Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin has an absolute goal rush. Just on that stat, I'd be interested how many of those goals came after last season. He went on a run of something like 15 in 10 or something mad like that. Actually, look at his record since probably the start of 2021. It won't be that fancy. It seriously won't be that fancy.
Better than Origi's, though.
Origi's hardly played.
Is that not enough proof that Calvert-Lewin's a better player? Because Calvert-Lewin's.
I just don't think he's a better player.
Why has no team come in and bought Divock Origi then? If he's better than Calvert-Lewin, who is top 5, top 10 strikers in the Premier League, why has no team come in and bought Origi?
Why has no team come for Calvert-Lewin yet? Why did Calvert-Lewin not go in the summer?
He's starting and he's playing and he's banging in goals for them. Origi.
Why did no team go for him then?
Because he's happy in a team where he's playing and actually.
How do you know he's happy? Do you know him?
Have you heard any of his interviews? Oscar, come on, this is absolute.
Do you know it?
I've never heard such a convincing case of Divock Origi in my life. I don't even know.
My only point is, right, Divock Origi is not good enough to start for Liverpool or a top 6 team. He is not good enough to start for a top 6 team. If you go beyond West Ham, he is good enough to start for any team outside of that. I'm not saying he would, but he's good enough.
I get your point, man. I've got to credit you for willing to die on that hill. I've got to credit you.
That is my point.
Arguing so honestly,
I'm not even that keen.
Is this really happening?
Yeah, someone said this is really happening.
I don't even know how this came about.
No,
I don't even know what's going on.
I asked the question, did I, just about Divock Origi?
What was the question? What, like, did you just say Divock Origi and then just commence, or was it
then
actually
I just got stuck into it because Matt was talking rubbish about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so I thought
rubbish.
He's just stats padded for 2 months, and you're saying he's one of the best strikers in the league.
Divock Origi's best record is 4 goals in 20 games.
In the world. Go.
He just needs game time.
Matt's just bitter because he scored the winner in the Champions League final against him.
I'm the bitter one. Okay, Oscar.
Jazz Beer says, let's move on, guys.
Let's quickly move on.
Let's talk about one player that none of us will be
charity boxing match, lads.
Yeah, imagine.
Can we move on to Christian Benteke and why Liverpool should never have sold him?
He was playing up front for Chelsea on the weekend when Benteke he was playing.
The size difference between Matt and Oscar in a charity boxing match, it just won't be like Oscar's about 9 foot. I know he doesn't look it on here, but he's massive.
How do you know I'm not 9 foot, Joe?
Huh?
How do you know I'm not 9 foot?
Because I've seen a picture of you outside Spurs' ground with the Irish Hotspur. The Irish Hotspur. I reckon you're smaller than me.
Matt always argues against facts. That's the problem.
Yeah. How tall are you, Matt?
That doesn't have to be spoken about.
What are you even talking about?
I thought Matt would be standard size.
How tall is everyone on here? How tall is everyone on here?
Everyone in the comments as well, let us know how tall you were.
How
tall is everyone on here?
Is Origi taller than Calvert-Lewin?
What are we talking about? How did we go from Origi to all of our heights?
I want to know. How tall is everyone on here? Because I always find it interesting because you simply cannot tell.
You can't.
I
thought Hal was going to be really tall, but apparently he's not. So it is
He's not. He's really not, actually.
Yeah, because he was shocked at how tall Oscar was. How tall are you, Oscar?
6'3".
6'3".
I'm 6'3.5".
Fuck. Matt, you're about 4'9", man.
It's a bit harsh, Joe.
Let me guess Corey and Henry. Henry, I reckon you're quite tall. I'm going to go 6'1".
I'm 6'4".
Are you 6'4"?
You 6'4"? I thought you'd be tall.
Prove it. Stand up. Go stand by the back.
Prove it now. Prove it right now.
Get 6 Subway sandwiches right now and prove it.
You really want me to stand up?
Yeah, do it. There's no way.
You really want me to stand up?
Judging by how quick Corey was to jump in there, I reckon Corey's not very tall now.
I'm 5'11". I'm standard size. That's apparently what he's supposed
there he
to
goes.
be.
There you go, mate.
Oh, yeah, he's a tall.
He's big. Yeah, that is pretty.
Can now see your washing machine. Have they got you in I've got full Harry Potter under the stairs, man.
I met someone at the game before.
What has happened in these last 15 minutes? I've asked Henry to stand up. I've gone on a rant because Matt's just annoyed me about Divock Origi. I refuse to give up in the debate. I just refuse to stand down a bit. What has happened in these last 15 minutes?
What were you saying, Henry?
6'3" is just tall. Thought you were going to say 6'9". Yeah. All right,
yeah, but to me, 5'8", like 6'3" is huge. Right, let's talk. Let's get back to the football. And we're gonna finish with this. Just Man City and Bernardo Silva. Just how great he is. I know. I was gonna come to Oscar, but I don't know if I can. Come to Oscar with his Divock Origi opinions. I think he's lost all.
Just come to me. I'm not going to mention it. I don't even know why I went. I don't even know what happened in the last 10 minutes. I don't know what happened to me.
Come on, then talk to me about Bernardo Silva, mate, and City, of course.
Yeah, I mean, look, Salah's been the best player in the league this season, but I think if you're talking second, it probably is quite comfortably Bernardo Silva at the minute. But he just do a bit of everything now. I think obviously. The criticism of Bernardo Silva, if you can even call it criticism of Bernardo Silva, was his lack of goals and assists and that lot, compared to the other like City players like De Bruyne or Gundogan or anyone like that. But now he's really standing tall in that kind of respect as well. And
I'll talk about standing tall, mate.
I know that was quite well timed, that wasn't it? Almost like I did that deliberately. It's almost like I did that deliberately, Corey.
2-1 Everton.
Demary Gray scored an absolute belter.
It's in there, up the top E's.
God, imagine how good they'll be with Calvert-Lewin, Matt.
Told you they would.
Imagine if they had a Origi, they would have won this game 4-1.
He's a special player. Watching him as well, he's one of the best players in the world to watch at this moment in time. In terms of just pure genius, he's absolutely superb. City's best player for me.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else want to jump on the Silva? I feel like the Origi chat's just thrown anyone, and we might as well just end this now. To be
mate, that Demary Gray goal was fantastic. By the way,
such a good strike.
It's a worlder. Yeah.
A lot's going to be fuming somewhere. He's in Warsaw now. He's going to see that come up and go, get the dartboard out, and it's got Chilwell, Mahrez, Kante, just like number one.
I'm just fuming because Lacazette's the only one that didn't get a shot on target, which has cost me a bet, and he's been subbed off for Aubameyang. So
why are you relying on that Lacazette for a bet, though?
just shot on target, bro. It's one shot, man. Just have a shot on target, will you? But nah.
Bernardo Silva actually
This
is
is
probably
very
one of my
frustrating,
favourite players to watch. Like, he's just absolutely incredible. Like, I was in the pub after the Chelsea game, and like, it just the moment he gets on the ball and he puts it top corner. How many players? Like, a lot of people are comparing it now the best player in the league. Just in terms of well-rounded players, he's got to be the most well-rounded. Look how many different positions he can play. The way he can play deep in the final third, in transitions, in terms of finishing. Like, when he's on it, he's absolutely on it. And I cannot believe that I laughed when someone said he was worth 60, 70 mil last summer. I know there's a dip in form, but he's just unbelievable. He plays in any team in the world. Any team, most systems.
Some Arsenal fans said, I think Igal, I know he's not, but Igal, I've seen him tweet out and said, I can't believe I said I wouldn't take this man. You know when there was talk of him leaving City and stuff like that in the summer, and maybe he was linked with Arsenal, I'm not sure, but like, it's a madness, really, isn't it? Even to consider that they were considering him go, because I always bring it back to, I always remember that City documentary, and Pep said, wherever I go, I would take him with me. Do you know what I mean? He said that, didn't he? So it was a bit of a mad one anyway, but like, they're just so good, man. Both them and Liverpool, like, they're just unreal, aren't they? They're just unreal. And Bernardo Silva's just, so good. I'm a little bit concerned, like, when we play them. Do you know what I mean? I know we didn't get beat off them last season, but I just see them being a totally different animal.
It's all right though, Joe. They'll only put Origi out and we'll be fine.
Oscar might celebrate if he scores. I told you. That's only he's been on the pitch 3 minutes now and he scored again. Lovely job.
No, honestly, don't ever get to see your idols live, because I can't stand Conor Gallagher now because I thought he was rubbish. So yeah,
Ronaldo. I've seen Ronaldo live. Seeing Ronaldo live, pretty good.
Was it good?
Pretty good. Well, I was at the Villarreal game, so.
Oh, fair enough.
Good. Do you know what? What I will say?
Exactly. 94th minute winner.
Don't worry, mate. I saw him score against us, mate. I'll tell you what. When you watch him actually live, his movement is elite. Like, he's thinking 2 steps ahead of the players, and it's just a bit worrying. You're like, how's anyone going to switch on?
The crazy thing is, right? He is not. He's obviously not been a striker throughout his whole career. He's converted himself from a winger to a striker, and he's that good. Like, that's what I find absolutely staggering about this guy. He's managed to, convert himself.
I think we play you in February. I think we play Man United in February at Elland Road. That's going to be a tasty affair. He'll get absolutely dogs abuse at Elland Road for sure. I know that much.
Are you not looking forward to seeing Jared Bowen live in the FA Cup?
Man, listen, we've done that. We had him in. To be honest, we had him in Championship when he was a one-man team for Hull City, mate. Trust me, he was ripping it up for Hull City. Then he single-handedly was keeping them up. Him and was it Grzycki? Oscar, it was Grzycki, yeah.
Grzycki.
Yeah, both of them were just flying at the time.
I really hope. I know he's not in the echelon of your Phil Fodens. I just really hope he gets a call up for England, even if it isn't a friendly. Just because his form, I think he deserves it, bro. His form's been unbelievable, and he does continue to improve. And even like now, I sit here and say he's had serious chances to score more goals this season. If he can do that, I think he's knocking. That's all I want to see.
He'll probably get his England call up when he gets his move to Liverpool that was muted in the summer. And
what, for 50 mil? If you pay 50 mil, you can have him. 60. No problem.
West Ham in the summer, after securing Champions League, just get absolutely obliterated. Declan Rice moves to Chelsea. Bowen goes to Liverpool. And I don't know who else have you got really who's any good?
If we get Champions League, if we get Kurt Zuma, Ben Rama, Fornals, Antonio, if we get Champions League, Declan Rice will stay. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
stay
of course, yeah.
But that's a big if. If we get a cup, he might stay as well.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, pal. Fingers crossed.
You were selling off my players a minute ago.
No, yeah. I was only joking, though. I did see Tommy Tuchel speaking about him, though, didn't he? Speaking about Declan before the London derby.
Do you know? Did you see Did you see the clip of Deck after we won, and he was that to the West Ham badge? Yeah. Doesn't look desperate to leave to me, mate. But yeah, anyway.
Tunnel and Mount went, I'll see you next year at training, bro. Yeah, definitely.
I'm a little bit delayed, but I can't believe Aubameyang's just missed that chance. I can't believe Aubameyang has missed that chance.
Oh, mate, come on. AF TV meltdown is going to be superb. I mean, against you lot, it was brilliant, but this will be different level.
They got schooled by Michael Carrick. They got schooled by Michael Carrick. That's it. That's for them. They're going to get 8th this season, I think.
Yeah,
can't beat Everton, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? They did ever so well, and then I was backing them, and then they've just fallen off a cliff a little bit. So, but we've got them up soon as well. So see what I mean? We're getting all these teams at the right time. We're going to go unbeaten in the next 4. Bring them on, man. Chelsea away and then City away.
It's a bit of a mess, though, isn't it? It's a bit of a mess with that. Is it Nketiah who's just rejected a new contract, and they're still putting him on the pitch? You're thinking, what on earth are you doing? Like, honestly, what on earth are you doing when you're putting a player on there that, he wants minutes, but he's not going to sign a new contract. He's just turned 1 or 2 down. Honestly, it's gone back to Banter FC again. I mean, we were there for a while, but now it's Arsenal's turn again.
Yeah, for sure. Right, guys, I think we'll leave it there. We've I've enjoyed tonight's show. It's been.
I don't know what happened to me for 10 minutes there with difficulty. I can't remember anything I've said. I just wanted to defend the point solidly that he's an underrated player. And they've gone way overboard. I apologise.
Yeah.
I didn't recognise myself.
When you watch it back, you'll be like, "Oh, did I really say?"
It'd be another apology to Matt, I think, in the morning.
Did I really say it was better than Mo Salah? Yes, you did.
I didn't say that. Come on.
Origi for Ballon d'Or. Better than Lewandowski, man.
Yeah, man. Why wasn't Origi in the Ballon d'Or, man? Where was he? Right, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, as always, for watching. Listen, I've got all the lads' channels in the description. Make sure you check them all out. There'll be no show on Thursday. Is it? Oh, no, they will Thursday night. I'm lying. I got to Paris on Friday, you see, for 3 days. Taking my partner away for a birthday. So, yeah, I'll be in Paris. So, Paris.
So you, Corey?
So I've just seen this comment on
What's it?
Look at what comment?
This one.
I've not had it.
That's because that is a reaction to his booster jab. But we'll leave it there. You don't need to know about my frivolities anyway. A proposal, no. This was the first thing, and I, on a level, the first thing I did when I told my partner we were going to Paris, I said, I am not going to propose. Like, I'm just putting it on this. Why are you saying that? And I went, because everyone will say it. And like when she was telling people, they were going, oh, he's going to propose. I'm not going to propose, so just know that that's not going. Because I didn't want it to be like every time I went, I just need to get some out of my pocket. She went, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, just pull out a roll up. No, I want a roll up. Like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean?
This is one of those moments where I really wish Hal was on the show, because Hal would have said something really, really, really classy or intelligent there when you said that.
Yeah, definitely. He would have. Right, we'll leave it there. Peace out. Thank you very much, as always, for watching.